Hello and welcome to this Identity Experts webinar on why Microsoft Azure Sentinel is right for you. I'm Stacey Dixon, Client Relationship Manager, and joining me today is Identity Experts Chief Technologist Matt Fernandes. Hi Matt.
Hi everyone.
In today's webinar, we'll be looking to try and help you with the SIEM decision-making process and why Sentinel needs to be one of your considerations. So Azure Sentinel is Microsoft's next generation security operations tool with cloud and AI capability, and it's your bird's eye view across the entire enterprise. With that being said, let's get started. So the challenge. As a business, we're at the stage where we've got all our security controls in place, we've got all our host operating systems all running smoothly, and we've decided on our applications and various other bits of software that we need to be running for the business. And we get to that point where now we need to be able to bring all of that together and be able to report, collect, analyse and act on all of the data we can collect from the various logs we accumulate from our environment. So for that, I'm going to need a SIEM tool. So that's a security, information and an event management tool. There's so many out there to choose from. Ones that have been out there for years, and then new and emerging SIEMs keep coming out, trying to keep up with the way that we're digitally transforming as businesses and trying to operate with the cloud solutions that we put in place. So we see the likes of Splunk, IBM, Logarithm, Dell, Rapid7, just to mention a few. But one that's really been causing a storm and unnerving many of the existing SIEMs out there is Microsoft's latest offering, Azure Sentinel. So herein lies my challenge. Sentinel is new to the market in 2019, and I get a lot of customers nervous about entertaining the idea of Sentinel because, one, it's new, and two, it's not appearing as a leader out there in the market yet with some of the heavily trusted advisory and research companies that we rely on. So let's do some homework. Taking it back to the start of the decision-making process about which SIEM to choose, we might start by looking at our research and advisory companies, such as maybe Gartner, Forrester and the likes. So I often get the response that, well, Sentinel's not rated as a leader by my research and advisory companies. That's it, I'll write it off. So why is Sentinel not rated yet? Because we see Microsoft coming in swiftly over the recent years, leading in cloud access security broker, CASB solutions, access management, enterprise information archiving, unified endpoint management, endpoint protection platforms, but not yet Sentinel. Sentinel became generally available from Microsoft after the advisory companies had collated their research last year. So that's the first and main reason we don't see it showing up in any of the quadrants that we might choose to take influence from. However, I expect that to change personally, and I do foresee that Sentinel will be favourably seen by research analysts who collate all of these advisories for us, so keep an eye out in the near future. You might think that Sentinel is new, and maybe it is to the market, but in fact, it really isn't anything new. Microsoft's been running, dogfooding and developing this solution in-house for years, as they do with everything they bring to the market. Sentinel was originally known as Azure Security Insights, and it's been used in Microsoft security operations for multiple years behind the scenes. Sentinel's built on top of existing solutions like Log Analytics and Logic Apps, which are both very well known, used and liked by many Microsoft customers that we work with. So whilst the packaging, so to speak, is new, a lot of the technology is not. Microsoft developed Sentinel mainly to deal with the volumes of data that they see every single day. You could say that it's the most scalable solution available. And why? You find me any other customer in the world dealing with as much data as Microsoft needs to form all their public, professional, corporate and government services. I'm ready for your comments and I'm ready for your emails. Go for it. So why is Sentinel unique? I'm pretty sure I'm right when I say that Sentinel is the only SIEM and SOAR solution available on the market right now with its capability. It isn't just a security and events management tool, it's also a security orchestration, automation and response tool that fully integrates with the rest of the Microsoft security suite. Furthermore, there is no security offering out there that's built on the kind of threat intelligence that Microsoft has and leverages to monitor and safeguard our environments in the cloud, including third-party services from AWS, Slack, Salesforce, many more, you name it. So if you're already invested in Microsoft technology for some or maybe all of your business security and compliance needs, then by unifying the tools that you've got already with Sentinel, you undoubtedly increase the efficiency of reporting, auditing and governance, and you're going to gain a clear and full visibility across your environment without having to connect to several vendor tools and piece all of that data, all of them logs together and build that picture of exactly what is happening in your environment and identifying the risks. Microsoft itself is a major cloud provider. So I've said it once and I'll say it again, and I really do challenge anybody on this, that Microsoft Threat Intelligence is one of the largest of all cloud providers across their consumer and commercial products or solutions. Microsoft gathers threat intelligence from their partners, peers alike, and that all feeds into this incredible web of threat intelligence that they've got. Sentinel's been designed from scratch in the cloud. And I think this is really important to note because Microsoft is extremely mature with its cloud offering. Sentinel is not a product that's been back engineered to cope with customers' digital transformations in the cloud. Originally, a lot of SIEMs we see today in the marketplace were built for customers with on-premise infrastructure, and SIEM design is reliant upon that initial design for on-premise infrastructure, which customers often don't consider nor know about. And this is one of the main limiting factors of this that we need to consider and have to question when we're making the decision about SIEM solutions and their capability to be able to extend into a true cloud environment. If we're using Microsoft products already in our business today, we all know the power that Microsoft has when it comes to harnessing artificial intelligence and machine learning. We use it every day in whatever we're doing. So, creating a PowerPoint, for example, like we see on the screen, you're going to get design ideas that pop up for you. That's all done in the back end with artificial intelligence. So Microsoft's ability to have such power comes from an extensive visibility across their own infrastructure that feeds Microsoft the data that they need. And let's remember the beast that's Microsoft Threat Intelligence, Microsoft Security Graph. SIEM providers may have access to large sets of data, but it's absolutely nothing in comparison to the amount of data that Microsoft has at their hands. So Microsoft is not the poorest company out there. They invest in so much education, knowledge, development, research every single year. Billions, in fact, is spent on bettering their solutions. They've got thousands of skilled engineers that build and manage their solutions and monitor and constantly develop those solutions. The kind of investment Microsoft can make into their solutions is far beyond that of other SIEMs, not just in the technology that they use, but also in the skill set that builds and maintains it. So even the largest SIEM on the market cannot compete with the level and skill set and expertise that Microsoft has at a global level. And then overarching all of this, we've got the age-old and much-loved argument for best in breed or best in suite. So best in breed doesn't always integrate or work well with other products in the same environment, or process of integration can be really, really complex when we come to implementing it. Being able to share data across multiple systems can prove a real headache and perhaps even impossible in some cases. Thinking about the level of management of all those best in breed products and solutions, multiple licensing agreements, it all takes up our resources, whether that be financially, whether it be time-wise, or whether it just be our employees not being able to be as efficient. Sometimes best in breed is not suited to go a long time. They are not always viable financially and most often cannot understand the requirements of all levels of a business, from a small business to a medium business to an enterprise sized business, and do tend to niche themselves. There's no common look, feel or unity with anything that's best in breed. Best in suite, however, is able to integrate, and it's able to integrate with ease. The user experience is the same throughout the vendor's solution, which makes it easier to navigate and work from portal to portal. The approach is consistent when it comes to the architecture of the solutions from the vendor, so it's really easy for security teams and IT teams to work with. And there's an overall reduced risk to the business when working with one specific vendor. Larger vendors with larger product suites will be available long term, and businesses will have reduced risk of having to replace systems multiple times. Less cost and often discount is available to volumes of licensing users. It's so much easier for administration as well. So I mean, I get it, best in suite has its cons, and sometimes it can be that the suite doesn't provide everything that a business needs. However, I personally am more than confident that Sentinel and other leading products featured in Gartner from Microsoft can more than cover any business's need. Don't even get me onto compliance. Can get quite excited about this topic, but that runs in the background of all Microsoft solutions. Microsoft has one of the most comprehensive sets of compliance offerings that help comply with not just regional but national industry specific requirements that govern the collection and use of data we have in our businesses. There is no seam out there that's going to beat Microsoft's availability here. So at this point, I've built an argument and now I need to back it up. So that's what I'm going to use Matt for. So I'm going to hand over to Matt, who's going to give us a brief insight as to what Sentinel looks and feels like. Over to you, Matt.
Cool. So, as Stacey mentioned, Azure Sentinel is positioning itself as the go-to tool for unified visibility and access control for all connected services and devices. So we start off, jump straight in at the main dashboard. It may look kind of crazy overwhelming, but there is a very easy way to tailor this to make it display the most pertinent information to you as and when you need it. So here we're going to get an overview of the security posture of the entire environment. We're going to see events, alerts, incidents, anything that's happening in the environment right now. So that includes, but is not limited to active incidents and their status, trends across events and incidents, data source anomalies, attacks identified using Microsoft Threat Intelligence, and maybe have a map up there as well. So let's have a look, because as with everything, we start with our data. Now, Microsoft have tried to make this as easy to onboard your data as possible. With this being a cloud native scene, they don't want it to be a huge task for an onboarding experience, because that's instantly going to be a blocker for people wanting to onboard. So what they've done is they've created a load of built-in connectors to quite a lot of popular services, including, well, obviously everything Microsoft is baked in from the beginning. But because this is vendor agnostic, this is not just a Microsoft thing. We've got connections to AWS, we've got connections to Palo Alto, and there's also several new connectors coming, or may already be announced, 2020 for ForcePoint DLP and CASB, Zimperium mobile threat defense, and a few more as well. Let's have a look though at our Azure AD. So if we've got IoT devices, Azure Sentinel can provide a solution to combine all of our IoT security data with other data across the environment for intelligent threat detection and response. We're going to integrate telemetry from Azure IoT Hub managed deployments directly into Sentinel. We'll have a look at our connector page. So we'll leverage the ASC IoT data connector to quickly and easily onboard all of our IoT stuff. Once it's ingested, it'll correlate the telemetry with data from across the hybrid environment, which is all devices and services that we can onboard. And that provides advanced attack detection, investigation, threat hunting, and incident response. So let's have a look at Azure data connectors. Now, threat intelligence. This is a doozy. So we're importing lots of stuff. We are also consuming a lot of Microsoft services. Microsoft also has a couple of other people using their services who are also providing data. This means that the overall data that Microsoft have to hand to be able to provide insight and alerts on incidents that may not actually have anything to do with your environment yet, it's massive. So we've got built-in TI detection, from importing your own threat indicators to the built-in analytics using templates for automated alerting and incident generation, as well as URL detonation from Microsoft's own threat intelligence. We can enable rich context, or we have a rich context, which is needed to inform security incident response decisions. And it's also got open standard support. So we can import threat intelligence feeds using standards such as STIX and acronyms TAXII, using the TAXII connector. So we can also visualize our key metrics, things that are really important to our threat intelligence community, using workbooks. So if we have threat intelligence data in a supported platform, such as MISP or Animail or ThreatStream, Palo Alto, there's plenty. Or if you have a custom solution for managing your threat indicators, you can import that threat intelligence into Sentinel using the platform's data connector. If we have a little scroll, there it is, our taxi preview. So we will open that up. This is how easy it is. Like, we can just pop in a few details about our connector, and we get it added. So if we have a look at the configured server, we can then see data that's being imported, the amount of data, the different IP addresses, that kind of thing. We can get a lot of information straight up at us for what we might need. So now we've got some data. Great. So what do we do with it? So let's have a butcher's at some workbooks. So workbooks. This allows us to get security insights with custom workbooks. We can we have a comprehensive set of built-in workbooks in a gallery. So you can just pick and choose things that have been built by experts who already know what they're doing. So if you're not crazy familiar with how to build a lot of this stuff out, it gives you a really strong foundation to be able to grow with your team, as it were. But of course, because of the open standards, a lot of the knowledge is very easily transferable from other systems into this. So let's have a look at how we can use the built-in Azure workbooks to drill into behavior of a user identified in an incident. So workbooks are used to organize and communicate data insights. They're an out-of-box solution that enable you to monitor and learn about important metrics and trends. Sentinel provides a gallery of the workbooks that will instantly accelerate SecOps productivity. Workbooks make it easier for everyone to turn machine data into powerful insights that anybody can understand, which is great because it's so easy to be overwhelmed by the sheer volume of data. You just get lost in a sea. And this is something that is an issue quotes, for every SIEM platform. You know, you ingest hundreds and hundreds of gig of data a day, and you have someone actually sifting through that. By the time they've sifted through half of it, the data's doubled. They'll never get to the end of it, which is why the machine learning provided on the Sentinel platform helps so massively to develop trends and to surface what is actually important to the SecOps team for review and to filter out some of the stuff that's just normal day-to-day. So let's have a look at that as your sign-in logs. We'll have a look at the saved workbook. So we can see that this workbook is analysing user activities and is providing instant insights which can be drilled into for further analysis. So if we click on the location for which the sign-in occurs, the workbook will automatically update the sign-in details to reflect sign-ins from that specific location. So let's have all users. So what we want to do is have a little search because we want to drill down for specific accounts. So a variety of expert-built workbooks are available for Office 365, Azure AD, Windows Events, Azure Activity, AWS, Palo Alto, Symantec, and many, many more. So let's have a drill down into Mr. Alex Wilbur, who has 126 sign-ins. Let's have a bit of a scroll. And we can see here that we've got some stuff happening. We've got some failures, we've got some success, we've got some pending actions. It's coming in from a device, Windows 10, but we've got this weird one from a Mac that's failed. Okay, that's interesting. And we've also got some information on conditional access here. So, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Analytics. So we've got built-in templates for detecting attacks, surfacing common attack vectors, and alerting you to suspicious escalation chains. All of these templates can be customized for your environment. So if it doesn't quite fit, take it to the tailors, have it custom altered to suit your needs. Not only can the templates create incidents to engage SecOps, but they can also run automated playbooks to take additional access or remediate these incidents. Now, and this is crazy. The power at which the automation puts in your hands for time saving, cost saving. I mean, a nice easy one for anomalies on sign-in information. Okay, Sentinel will detect, hey, this person signed in from an unusual location. They don't normally sign in from this country. Now, normally that would be a ticket, an incident, someone would investigate it. Maybe they'd have to call that person. But with the automation and the AI, you can have this triggered and go, okay, well, let's just double check that person. So let's send them an alert, maybe email or Teams, with an MFA tied to it. So they have to prove it's definitely them. And they can just click a box to say, yes, this was me, or no, it wasn't. And if it was them and you're confident, then it will just close down that alert and nobody is bothered by it. But if they go, well, actually, no, I haven't signed in from this country, then it will escalate it and it will alert the SecOps team and it will create the incidents for someone to have a look at and hunt. And it may sound like, that's something relatively small, but once that system is in place, the time saving for the SecOps team is insurmountable, which means then that they actually have more time to focus on real threats. So, sorry, ramble. The technology behind Sentinel, as Stacey mentioned, has been built on stuff that is pre-existing. We've got log analytics, we've got the security graph, we've got the workbooks in the background. It's all plugged in together to make this awesome ball of awesomeness. And as an example, log analytics at the moment currently ingests more than 10 petabytes of data a day. I don't fancy scrolling through that. So you can take advantage of the embedded AI. It's used to fuse together multiple low priority signals into accountable alerts. So the automated insights and response allows you to understand and mitigate threats quickly. So this is where, well, this person's doing one thing over here, but something else is happening on a different system over here. I know you can't see me, but I am pointing. Those two alerts individually wouldn't mean anything, but the analysis and the AI within Sentinel can pick up those two things and go, oh, hang on, actually, those two actions together match this pattern. Actually, maybe there is something more serious happening, and has the intelligence to be able to combine these together. So again, because Microsoft wants to make it nice and easy, there's ready-to-use templates for detection of attacks, surfacing common attack vectors. It starts at rule-based detections that work to aggregate suspicious event chains or detect anomalous behavior. It then progresses to a more advanced analysis, such as a class of machine learning-based detections called fusion detections. It's very futuristic. So today there are 35 attack scenarios detected by this class of detection. These take advantage of embedded AI to fuse together those low priority signals into high fidelity incidents. Also announced new scenarios at RSA, just gone, using Palo Alto Network Firewall and Microsoft Defender Advanced Threat Protection. So let's have a look at how the analytic rules are configured. Where are my rule templates? Right, let's have a look at incidents. So how do we respond to some of these incidents? Fortunately, the analytics in Sentinel give you the ability to manage the full life cycle of an event and its associated alerts, and allows you to conduct thorough investigations, leveraging capabilities like being able to extract entities and graph connections, which allows you then to push graph information or pull graph information from other entities to build a full view of the incident everywhere it's touched. So we're going to progress to slightly more advanced analytics. This is the fusion detections, 3-point-something gigawatts. So we'll add a search by our ID or title for our network. As we said earlier, there's around 35 attack scenarios detected at the moment by this, and there's more being added all the time. Right, so we're going to have a look at network requests to Tor, which is our anonymous browser. where, you know, ooh, on CSI, hackers going to get on the dark web using Tor. Well, okay, let's see what's going on. We'll investigate this. Now, this is pretty amazing because we can now see that user and then every single thing that has been associated as part of this Tor request. So we can see the IP addresses he's gone to, we can see the machines that have been used, and we can see any links within the backend system that it would have taken a human being months to piece all of this together. So we'll have a look at this link, and we'll have a look at the events. So we've got a malicious link and we've got some events. And then we can see here, here's the website we've gone to. Oh, here's the verdict, because it's been detonated in a chamber to find out whether or not it's good or bad. And look, we even get a screenshot of the page that has been used. In this case, it looks like it's a phishing link. And now this level of insight is fabulous. You know, you instantly can come in and can track what's happened, where it's gone, and from here you can trigger your playbooks. You can have some automation happen. You can have tickets raised. Loads of stuff. But of course, this is not just about reactive. We want proactive as well. And that's where the hunting comes in. Going through that data jungle with your spear, hunting those attack vectors. We've got built-in queries that provide an entry point so that you can kind of figure out what it is you're looking for and help you build out your queries. And then once you've got things that you like to see, you've got significant events, you can bookmark those so that you can reference them later. And then from the bookmarks, you can launch investigations. You can also use notebooks to automate things. And there's also something called Hunting Livestream that allows you to create interactive sessions. And this allows you to test newly created queries as events happen. And you get notifications from that session within the Azure portal. It's very cool. Okay, so if you're an investigator and you want to be as proactive as you can about looking for security threats, we have hunting tools within Sentinel that allow you to get super nerdy about your data. This allows you to potentially find new anomalies that weren't detected by the security app. So this is where if you think you have specific use cases about random stuff that maybe the AI doesn't know about yet, you can build these queries and have a look around and snoop and see what you can find as an augment. So we're going to run all of our queries here, all of our built-in ones. And this is going to go away. We can see the code that it's going to be using. We can see the queries we're currently running. And so during the hunt, we will want to be notified if there's any activity associated with the entities that we're investigating. So for this, we're going to use the live stream, which allows you to be notified as they occur. So you've got the option of creating new live streams or using existing ones. But we're going to use an existing one for this. Because live stream notifications go directly to the Azure portal bar, you see the notifications from any blade within the Azure portal. They show up in the top corner. So we will have a look in our navigation for our bookmarks. So we can then click investigate to open the bookmark within the graph investigation experience, or add the bookmark to a new incident. So we're going to have a look at a security alert. We're going to have a look at Mr. Jeff. As we can see in here, we've got our bookmark, we've got all our entities, and we've got all our information about that entity. Apparently, He's a ninja, which is interesting, and he's using Windows domain joined machine. Oh look, the PC is called Victim PC, so I wonder what that could possibly be being used for. So let's have a look now at notebooks, because we found something. Let's do something about it. So we've mentioned the industry standards. So as well as we've got all of our hunting, or the hunting language is all done in KQL, which is similar across a lot of other scene platforms. And the same with notebooks. Sentinel supports Jupyter notebooks, which again is a very common thing across many scene tools. So for the advanced threat hunting community, Sentinel provides several pre-built investigation and threat hunting notebooks that launch, run directly in the browser, and connect to your Sentinel workspace instance. We have a look in the Playbooks. Now, Playbooks. This is all about the automation and orchestration. Playbooks, they're an integral component, well, funnily enough, to automate and orchestrate incident response. We can either have manual or automatic playback, so they can be run as and when they're needed, or when conditions are triggered, or on schedules, that kind of thing. And because they're based on Azure Logic Apps, you get all the power, customizability, and the built-in templates of Logic Apps. And it also means that that scales with the Logic App. So if your first query is tiny, but the next time the same query pulls out another huge amount of data, the resources for that scale, so you're never caught short. Logic Apps are amazing. So Sentinel delivers natively a security, orchestration, automation, and response, or SOAR platform, for rapid and accurate incident response. Sentinel includes pre-built security playbooks for complex workflows that integrate with other services. So let's have a quick look for a playbook. And we will block an IP address. So we can use these playbooks, or analysts can use these playbooks, or the automation in the background can use the playbooks to automate response and remediation. So this is the value add. This is the big time saver, where as soon as common things are seen that your business has a set process for, it can just be triggered automatically to shut those things down before someone even has to scroll through a list to find them. And these are built using the Logic Apps. And what this one does, which is another use case that we have found widely used and loved by people, is that when something is triggered in Azure Sentinel, to open an incident in ServiceNow. But this goes a step further. So this will open an incident in ServiceNow, and it will copy all of the information, or link all of the information that Sentinel has provided in a nice, easily digestible way for that ticket. But it's also posting a message to the SOC channel in Teams. So we get an incident in ServiceNow, we get an email, a post in Teams with an adaptive card with perhaps some sort of response on it. And then we get an approval workflow as well to say, okay, maybe I've dealt with this, maybe this needs closing. And so very rapidly, while people aren't breaking out of their normal day-to-day workflow, they can respond to these things and have them either automatically allowed, accepted, or shut down. And last but not least, definitely not least, is the community. So there's a thriving community of security experts sharing best practice, custom queries, dashboards in the Azure Sentinel GitHub. There's a wiki, aka.ms/threat hunters, on what contributions can be done and where and how links will be there. Anyone can contribute different workbooks, playbooks, workflows, or notebooks for advanced hunting. So if you want to be part of that community, I would recommend jumping in feet first, because the help you will get from it and the help you might be able to provide to build is invaluable to everybody. There we go. So we've got some, contribution guidance for each type is available. Recognition and rewards for community contributions are available. Partners can build their own data connectors as well and bring it into the Sentinel gallery. If you have a look in the data connectors folder in GitHub, you can have a look at the contribution guidelines. And that's it. If anyone wishes to nerd out with me about some of this stuff, hit me up on Twitter or at SecureBadger, or bob me an email, and we can get into the weeds of some of this, because there's so much exciting stuff. And with that, I'll hand back to Stacey.
Thanks, Matt. Hope you all enjoyed that. So I think let's just carry on from my presentation earlier. So as Matt said, he's already given you his details there. His contact details are on the screen, and so are mine. So just to be able to tie this up, when it comes to choosing the best theme for you, you could choose to follow advisory companies. You could pick one of the leaders as they currently stand in the marketplace. But do you not think that it's wiser to consider Sentinel today, given its rapid growth that we've just seen? It's an amazing tool, it's a beast, and stop yourself getting caught short maybe a year down the line when you've perhaps fully entwined yourself and sealed yourself into a deal for an alternative SIEM solution. Those SIEM solutions, perhaps in a year's time, are going to be the ones that are trailing behind the new leaders such as Sentinel. So that's leaving you with something to think about, hopefully. Thanks for joining us. Hope you found it useful, and if you'd like to know more, feel free to get in touch.